ASEAN Breakfast Call Dialogue, widening your horizons.
Hello and welcome back to Durian ASEAN. You're with Gowri
and Grace here.
And we are moving on to our ABC dialogue for this morning. And of course, in line with the budget that was tabled and presented last Friday, we will be having a post-budget analysis all this week, and starting with today. And we have Dr. James Alin, who is joining us all the way from Sabah on the line. Hello, Doctor.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Good, how are you?
We are good.
Thank you so much.
Nice.
Alright, so before we start, maybe so we're going to talk about the Sabah economy and then also move on to the budget 2015. So maybe you can give us a little background or a little story to what's happening to Sabah in terms of economy first.
Okay. I suppose when we want to have an overview, we can start with the economic indicators.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you go to hospital, you want to find out to do medical checkup, right?
Right.
So they will check your blood pressure, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So in economy too, we have similar indicators. First, you look at economic growth.
Okay.
Economic growth for Sabah is about 5%. GDP growth. GDP means gross domestic product. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, GDP per capita means for every people living in Sabah, you divide a gross domestic product with the number of people living here. So you have about 19,000 ringgit. That doesn't mean that, for example, my mother is earning 19,000 ringgit per year, and I also earn the same. No.
Mm-hmm.
If my mother is a pensioner, so she got no income actually.
Mm-hmm.
But that's an indicator, okay?
Right.
Second is the external trade. Is Sabah selling or buying more from outside? At the moment, Sabah actually is having a surplus in trade. That means we are selling more than we are buying.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you want to know what are we buying?
Yeah.
For example, we buy heavy machineries.
Okay.
That we cannot produce here. And related to that, we buy manufactured goods. Again, we don't have much of manufacturing here. And beverages, tobacco, you know, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So then, who are you targeting to sell all these products to?
We are buying it from outside.
Buying it from outside.
It's import, we call it. Import.
All right, okay.
And out of those things, half of it actually we imported them from Peninsular Malaysia.
Mm.
You wonder why?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay, before we talk about why is Sabah importing from Peninsular Malaysia? The Peninsular Malaysia is part of Malaysia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, okay, but we talk about it in a short while. And we also buy those things from Singapore, China, US, Japan, and the rest, okay?
All right.
Now back, why are we importing half of the things from Peninsula? It's because we have a policy called cabotage. Cabotage actually is a policy shipping. It's a federal government policy that actually encourage local shipping industry to grow.
Okay.
So what happened is, if Sabahan consumer, they need to buy something from United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those imported stuff will go first to Peninsula port, any ports in Peninsula. Then from there, from Kelang or from Pasir Gudang in Johor, they need to upload those cargoes into national, local companies.
Okay.
They cannot like sending it from United States directly to Kota Kinabalu or to Sinakan. They need to stop in Peninsula and then upload it and then use a local shipping to bring it here.
Okay.
So what you observe that half of it actually, it's not that we importing it from Peninsula. Those things are not from Peninsula, not produced in Peninsula, but produced outside. From the US, they actually just now, yeah?
Yes.
From China, Singapore, Japan, Thai, and from those countries. So that actually adds to the cost of transportation, and that is one explanation why goods and services in Sabah and Sarawak is very high.
So what are some of the countries that you're actually buying all these imported goods from, apart from US?
Singapore, China, Japan, Thailand, Korea, Australia, and Sarawak. You imagine that when we buy things from Sarawak, you need to go to Peninsula first, then you come back here.
Right.
So I mean it's a bit hard, right?
Yes.
So that is the import side. And the export side, what I'm selling, as I said just now, Sabah is selling more than buying. Yeah? So we are selling primary commodity like petroleum, as you know.
Yep.
And again, as you know, palm oil things, palm oil, and then gas, that is methanol, and after that forest product. So who are we exporting those things, those primary commodity to? We are selling to China, again to Peninsula Malaysia, the same reason. When we want to sell it outside, well, first we need to bring it from Sabah to Peninsula port using local shipping, and then from there we use international shipping. So we are selling it to China, Peninsula Malaysia, India, and the rest of the world. What are we selling? I already said it.
Yes.
And that is external trade. Yeah? Another two more component of indicator of economy. Yeah? The third one is foreign direct investment. Is people coming here to invest in all industries.
And then those FDI is mostly in which kind of areas?
Yes. First, in the services. I think services mean what? Tourism, right? And second is agriculture. If you remember just now, I said about what are we selling to the world, right?
Yes.
Those are agriculture. And we also receive some investment into mining in quarry. You know quarry, right? Quarry is not so environmentally friendly in the state, actually, because you end up blasting the hills, cutting the slopes that you're not supposed to cut because you need to take the soil and also the stones to produce cement and clinker. And we receive some a little bit investment in wholesales, retails, restaurants. Not so big. Yeah. The other three more investment area is finance, insurance, real estate, and the last one is manufacturing. So you see, Malaysia Sabah economy is not into manufacturing yet, not like Singapore, like Selangor, Penang.
And why is that, Doctor?
Well, I suppose because of history, we still rely on primary commodity. And of course, if you look into the details, why people are not coming here to open manufacturing factories, that's another interview though.
Right, another area altogether.
Yeah, for the portfolio means that banks, mutual trust, that's very little. If you go, you've been to Kota Kinabalu or not?
No.
We have not yet.
Okay, next time when you visit Kota Kinabalu, you just walk in downtown, you see how many banks we got,
Okay.
You can count by fingers. Those are ordinary banks. There's no
see.
investment banks like in Kuala Lumpur,
I see. All right.
And then the last indicator is unemployment rates. How many people looking for a job but they cannot find a job?
Yes.
That's about 6%. 6% of the population that able to work cannot find a job. That is equivalent to 85,000 people unemployed at the moment.
And that's just in Sabah, yeah?
Sabah, yes. Sabah.
85,000 people.
Yes, we have about 3 million population now. 1.5 million is in the labor force.
Mm-hmm.
That we consider the one that employed, working part-time or full-time, is about 1.4 million. Almost 1 million actually is a male, and the other 500,000 is female. That's quite a big number for female working, right?
Mm-hmm.
And are these all unemployed people educated, or do they have like any forms of qualifications?
Right. That's what I'm going to talk about next.
Mm-hmm.
Out of that 1.4 million people employed, 10% has no schooling at all. They never been to school.
Oh, I see.
10%. Another 30% only primary school. And 46% secondary school.
Secondary school.
So, yeah, secondary school. So as you figure out, people with higher education is very small number, yeah? So that itself tells you that on average, Sabahan actually the income is not very high because the level of education is low.
Okay, then from those percentages that you mentioned, then what will lead them to look for a job in Sabah itself? Because the rate of educated people is not as high as in KL. Yes. So what kind of jobs will they look for in Sabah then?
Well, first of all, they are unemployed. It means they have been looking for a job, like not find one. Why they can't find one, that's another issue. But here it is, yeah. When we talk about budget, we look at the incentive that actually is it possible to help them. I mean, is there any way in that budget 2015 that reduce that unemployment, at least in Sabah, you know? So that is the economic indicator. All is good, at least at that level. Yeah.
Right. So, Doctor, we will be taking a short break now. So when we come back, we will discuss more about the budget 2015 and what is in it for the people who are living in Sabah.
Yes.
ASEAN Breakfast Call Dialogue, widening your horizons.
Hello and welcome back to Durian ASEAN. We're still at our ABC dialogue, and on the line we have Dr. James Alin, who was earlier sharing with us the economic indicators of Sabah. So for the second half now, we'll be talking more about the budget and what's in it for the people living in Sabah.
Mr. James, perhaps you might want to share what kind of part of the budget that you felt really had highlighted the needs and addressed the needs of the Sabahan and the Sarawakians.
Yes, from Sabah, yeah, we in Sabah we actually put very high expectation on the budget because we have 6 ministers, full ministers at the federal level, and 2 deputies. So that's. I mean, from the viewpoint of politics, that's well represented, right? So the citizen here, they actually put high expectation. They hope that this minister actually can. Voice their needs, especially people in the rural area. They are far from the political power. So, I mean, if you look at the budget, the recent budget, overall, this budget actually what we call, from fiscal viewpoint, expansionary. Yeah, expansionary. Mean they are spending more than what they can afford.
The government is spending more on the budget for the Sabah and Sarawakian.
No, overall, yeah, this budget actually what we call deficit budget. The federal government actually is spending more than they can afford.
So this is one of the highest, if not the highest, the highest amount of budget the government have allocated for the people.
It's true. But if you observe, since Prime Minister Najib took office, actually he been running budget deficit almost equivalent to during Pak La, as Prime Minister. And some people think that this is something not good because our debt to GDP ratio, this is how we measure whether you are heavily indebted or you are okay. It's like personal, like you have certain income, but that income not enough to buy things you want, so you borrow a credit card,
but
right?
But isn't it because of the government's transformation program where a lot of structural development is going on, especially with the Greater KL, and now the government itself is spending 27 billion for the Pan-Borneo highways in Sarawak and Sabah, including other form of highways in the North-South highway from Perlis to Johor as well. So is it a justified budget to spend more, but it is for structural development?
Well, when you are spending taxpayer money, I mean, it's not your own money, you can always find justification, right?
But to create structural development, you need to spend more. Do you think it's justified for the government to be in debt for that?
Not necessarily so. I mean, first of all, if you really want to balance your budget, I mean, you spend within your means, then you have to find a way to cut the wastage first. And then you think about overspending. I mean, before you go to credit card, you should think how to balance your budget, right? Well, there's a few things, when we talk about budget deficit, why actually federal government, not only Malaysia, but some country around the world, they also in a budget deficit. They think that if they spend more, they can stimulate economy, like you said, part of it to provide infrastructure. If that infrastructure benefiting to the people directly, like schools, like broadband, that this one is included in the budget, or for women in entrepreneur, or to do R&D in science. Those are good things, of course. Good thing,
But
no question about those things.
But when it comes to the current budget, do you think it has a spillover effect to the rakyat, especially those living in the East Malaysia?
Yes. People tend to say, to ask, well, that spending, that excessive spending, trickle down to the very poor. That's different issue, That's different issue. But I mean, if you can say like this, so when you spend more than you can afford, what do you expect from that spending? First, where do they get that money from? There is only two ways. You borrow. You borrow now means you can borrow as domestic. We have some domestic saving, or you can borrow outside, foreign debts. But Malaysia is known in our finance history that we don't really borrow from outside that much. So we borrow domestic. So when you borrow saving from domestic, that means less money for private sector to invest, because government already borrow, right? Now,
can you explain more when you say that less money for the private sector to invest? Invest in what?
Okay, national saving. National saving consists of all the money that ordinary people like us put in the bank, right? Plus whatever private sector also save, So now, government also, they have saving, we call it reserve, foreign reserve. Our foreign reserve at the moment can only finance 9 months of imports, So that is not very strong, actually, quite weak saving. Now, Well, I mean, just now I said about national saving. Yeah. So this national saving, so if government borrow from this sector, means there's less private sector, right? Because government is taking all, because they need to finance the deficit. So private will have a choice again. They want to borrow from domestic, or they borrow from outside. And again, I said in the history, government don't like our company to borrow from outside, and it's kind of dangerous. It's good thing, yes, so far. So it means government expenditure compete with private sector on that saving, that limited saving that should go to the productive activity. So private sector actually are more productive than the government sector. I will explain in a short while. Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yes, sure. We are listening.
Well, I mean, please ask me questions, okay?
Yeah.
So I will respond. Yeah? And there is another aspect of this budget. Yeah, they first spending more than they can earn. They earn. I said just now, there's two ways to finance it. First, you can either borrow, either outside or domestic, or to tax people. This one is the catch, you know. You tax people. You tax it now, or you tax in the future. You postpone. Usually, what happens from the political viewpoint is better to tax people later. So give them brain, open KRI, you know. KRI.
But the government is doing everything together under the one umbrella
Yeah.
at the same time.
It's interesting. You see, I can see the direction. Okay, they are taxing now. They first they change the SST, sales and service taxes, right? They change it into a much more sophisticated system. Sophisticated in taxation means they can tax you very effective, you know.
That's where the GST comes in.
You notice or not, under the budget, they're going to employ 2,270 personnel called GST enforcement. It's like a tax police. So you will not be surprised one day someone will knock your door. Can I look at your self-assessment tax?
That one will be more towards the company, the officers that will be
Sure.
enforcing the GST.
That's the company, who work with the company, ordinary people like us. They go back to you.
Another area that I'm quite curious,
Yes.
you said, I mean, taxation aside, but at the same time, the government is spending huge money. It is one of the highest number of money allocated for a fiscal year budget. But if you look at it, quite a number of the money comes into development and trying to do a lot of training and enhancement. Do you think that, for example, the building of the highway, which the government allocated quite a few billion, 27 billion in total, do you think this is reflecting a keen approach of economic policy by Najib?
Yes and no, because the Pan-Borneo Highway, they've been building it for many years already. You know? I don't know exactly from which point to which point they want to connect. But the one Brunei Sarawak, yeah, I think they already completed it. If you look at the highway loan, highway loan, I mean, who is going to use that highway to connect Brunei, Sarawak, and Sabah? I mean, there's not much of activity. It's not like Johor and Singapore, right? It's very obvious why you should build a good roads for that, right? But between Sabah and Sarawak and Brunei, there's nothing much. There's no one is going to Brunei to work on a daily basis. Vice versa from Sarawak also. The only people that use this highway is tourists. During festive season, Brunei go to Sarawak for holiday, or very few people from Sabah and Sarawak go to Brunei because Brunei is expensive to spend. So on that basis, in economy we call if you spend something, you expect it to multiply, multiplier effect we call it. I mean, let's say tax, under the budget they cut corporate tax, cooperative tax, and also income tax, right, to 2 points. So what is the effect that we can expect from that tax cut? In theory, we can expect if you pay less tax, means you can increase your saving, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not true for Sabah. I already said in the beginning that the earnings for Sabahan is very small because the education level of the labor force is small. They are less educated, so their income is less. So even if you reduce the tax, that doesn't mean they save more because the cost of living is increasing very fast.
Are you saying that the federal government is using a peninsula model of addressing economic issues to Sabah and Sarawak without realizing that Sabah and Sarawak have a completely different economic policy that should be addressed for their own needs?
Well, it's hard to say like that, but of course in Peninsula too, not all the population are actually earning high, right? Like orang asli, some segment of Chinese and Indian population and Malay, they also lower income, right? So I don't think that there's a need for federal government to put one chapter just for Sabah and Sarawak. Otherwise, then besides Sabah and Sarawak, we have our own state budget that will be tabled in the few months' time, and I will talk about that. Actually, the revenue of the state. What is the source of revenue for Sabah state?
What is it?
Yes, the federal budget allocation actually is only number 4, number 4, because state we have our own source of revenue.
So, do you have the numbers and the items?
Yes, state government we have our own state taxes, and after that, state government, we have assets. So the assets actually earn income. Of course, primary commodity, as you know. So we get royalties when we export those things. Some of it goes in terms of tax, oil tax, palm oil, and both petroleum tax. Because we produce oil and gas. So those are going directly to the state. So whatever we get from the federal is number 4, not number 1, But it's still substantial. I don't say that without federal government allocation, the state can be okay,
Yeah, but the federal government is also allocating 70 million for paddy subsidy, which is uniquely for Sabah and Sarawak, and also uniquely for Sabah and Sarawak is the security measures. The government is allocating 660 million for the security zone and eastern for the Sabah security zone and eastern Sabah security command. Do you think this is actually a positive move that government is really concerned, especially in the area of Lahad Datu and other really high risk area, not just for terrorist activities but also for smuggling, for example smuggling of fuel?
Yes. Okay, let's start with that hill paddy subsidy. Of course, Sabah and Sarawak we still have a population that produce hill paddy, but the acreage size is getting smaller because these people, usually rural area, they are indigenous people. They don't have enough space. I mean, they're losing their land. So in the future, I think the subsidy is good in the sense that. As long as this subsidy go directly to those poor farmers, but that is not what's happening in real life, right? I've seen it, So who actually get those subsidy? It goes to the millers, the factory that mill their paddy, and still in the end, those poor farmers will.
But
go
it's
back
stated there it will benefit paddy farmers. Because the subsidy is called hill paddy subsidy, so it's not meant for Peninsula. We don't have hill paddy here.
I know, but within that hill paddy, so you have farmers, the one that toil the land and produce, and then you have a processing factories. This is a company, ordinary company. So if you look closely, how that structure works, actually, very little go back to the farmers. Farmers, they actually just follow the price set by the Lembaga Padi, that's a government agency. So, like I said, the subsidy, if it go directly to the people, is good. Otherwise, if it go around, going to the mill, going to the private sector, I think it's another thing. Things like that, yeah. And as for that military spending, enhancement of security in the East Coast, there's two ways to look at it. First, when you talk about military spending, in terms of economics, actually it's not considered productive activity. Even if, on the pretext of restoring order and security to make sure our national boundary will not be breached by subversive people coming to kidnap, or some sultan send their army and invade certain area, right? It's a necessary in the long term, but big spending like this, this time, big spending like this, you can say it's not very productive. It's eating out our peace dividend. What is peace dividend? So when you have a peaceful condition, so economic activity can run smoothly. People will not fear to do their business. Investors will come. Tourists will thrive. Tourism will thrive. Some country, rich country in the world like Switzerland, Sweden, even Brunei near to us, they don't have a military spending. That's why they actually rich. So, one.
So are you saying that there will be no social benefits?
There is a social benefit in terms of job creation, because they are taking many police, young soldiers to be recruited. But these police and soldiers, look at their income. Do you think they earn high income? They cannot even afford to buy a car. It's not a coincidence. Police and soldiers are one of the highest consumer of motorbikes.
Well, yes, that's true in Malaysia, yes.
Yeah, of course they do patrolling using motorbike. That's a different issue. What I'm saying, daily life, their earning is very low. They live in the terrible condition. Their housing is no good. If you've been to a police barrack, you see. So they have, good to spend on them to improve their facilities for them. No doubt about it. So it will increase their morale, right? So they can do better job. Well, just now I said about the non-productive aspect of this excessive spending on this military. At the same time, you think about it like this. If you go to Philippines, you go to any place, you go mall, you go even to store, hospital, right in front of this building, you see security, police, and military. Do you feel safe?
No.
No. Just the more police and security forces around you, the more you feel something is wrong, something is not safe. You go to Japan, you walk, or Singapore, don't go to Japan, it's far. Singapore, you can go anywhere, any time of the day. Nothing will happen to you unless you are very bad luck, right? You don't see police all the time. You see police, they don't have uniform, they help tourists. in show you where is the entertainment area. Yeah.
So you're saying that the higher security force will actually scare people away, is that right?
Of course, if you put the militarization of the zone, you think to restore security. That's not going to do it.
Right. Well, okay, unfortunately, Doctor, that's all the time that we have for our discussion this morning. Maybe we'll have another interview to further elaborate the other points that we didn't cover. But for now, thank you so much for joining us and for explaining the economic condition in Sabah.
Thank you, yes.